First of all, Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent of about 54 countries. And many of these countries, some of them are located in the north, which is in the desert, the Sahara. Others are located in the south, which is slightly cooler. Others are located right around the equator. Now, some African countries are landlocked. Others have access to the sea. So every growth opportunity will have to put into consideration the different endowments that these countries have. But there are certain particular things that are cross-cutting. For example, investment in infrastructure. This infrastructure would involve infrastructure for telecommunications, infrastructure for road network and rail, infrastructure for ports and harbors. Africa is in great need of such infrastructure that can ease trade across the continent. Right now, to transport a container of goods from Mombasa, for example, to Kampala, will cost you about $1,800. To cover the same distance in India will cover you less than half that price. So Africa's exports become uncompetitive in global markets because of poorly developed rail and road infrastructure. A lot of manufacturing plants across Africa, with the exception of South Africa, have energy constraints. There isn't enough electricity on the continent to power emerging industries, and you cannot industrialize without electricity. Now, of course, these constraints I'm mentioning are equally opportunities, because if our constraint is infrastructure, then for international investors, there is an opportunity to make money by investing in large-scale rail, road development and infrastructure like dams and telecommunications infrastructure. The second thing about you need to look at as a source of growth in Africa is policy. How do we create policies that support the growth of manufacturing on the continent? Some of these policies could be how to mobilize venture capital, equity funds, to mobilize Africa's pension funds to finance long-term investments. And remember, as I told you, the investment in infrastructure is very important for driving areas like manufacturing. The third, Africa is a very rich continent in terms of natural resource endowment. We have a lot of water resources, a lot of forestry resources, a lot of minerals. Every part of Africa, they're discovering large reserves of oil and gas, and then we have gold, coltan, diamonds, you name it. So these are areas of investment. If we can have the right policies to attract investment, the right infrastructure to allow ease of movement of goods and services, it will be possible for Africa to tap its immense natural resource potential. If we look at the East African region, the fastest growing economies in the whole world, like Rwanda and Ethiopia, are located in the East African region. But if you add on Uganda, Tanzania, and Zambia, these are fast growing economies. In fact, the rate of economic growth, average rate of economic growth in the East African region is around about 8%, 7 to 8%. As a consequence of that, there is a lot of pressure on road and rail infrastructure, which is old. So there is an opportunity to invest, but equally there is rapid growth. A lot of investment from China, from India. If you look at West Africa, Ghana, Senegal, now Ivory Coast and Nigeria are some of the fastest growing economies in the world. So there is a lot of potential for investment in infrastructure, but investment in so many other areas, banking. If you look at the growth of the banking industry in Africa, the growth of insurance, the growth of telecommunications, the most innovative continent in the whole world in terms of the utilization of telecommunications infrastructure is, I think it's Africa. Africa is leading in telecommunications innovation. I'll give you an example. In my country right now, you don't need a credit card. Your mobile phone is your credit card. Your mobile phone is your bank account. Your mobile phone is, you can send and receive money on your mobile phone. You can pay bills in supermarkets and grocery stores using the mobile phone. So investment in these technologies that can facilitate trade and economic transactions is a welcome opportunity. I can tell you, across all sectors, if you're investing in Africa and producing products for sale, it is because of low levels of income, it is important for you to have products that are correctly priced. If you are dealing in airtime, for example, it's not good for you to produce an airtime card of $10. It is better for you to have an airtime card of less half $1. Then you will have a large, poor people cannot afford to hold their money in the airtime for a long time. So you need to have low units. The products you produce must be able to be sold in very, very small units so that they can be affordable. That is one. The second thing that you could be looking at is that Africa is not one country. So you need to understand the peculiar circumstances of a given economy. How consumers behave in Uganda is not the same as they behave in Rwanda. So the investor would need to be careful to understand local norms, habits, and idiosyncrasies.